Good morning, Kings. We are working on the E36 today. This video is going to be mostly about fixing the vacuum leak that's making it run really rough. Before I get into that, your boy screwed something up with the cooling system when we did that. So we're going to fix that first. First off, if I don't get an Aaron Plessinger win by the end of the season, I'm going to be pretty upset. Okay, so I put in this nice Chase Bays filler neck. There's a set screw right here, and there's one 180 degrees from that on the other side. I tightened these up because when we were bleeding the coolant system, it was dripping from there. I didn't put any Teflon tape or any thread sealer or anything on them, so they have continued to drip, and I went to loosen them up, and I rounded the heads out of there. So that's great. I'm moderately frustrated with myself about that, but we're gonna fix that, or at least try to. Either way, it's gonna get fixed. I'd like to be able to fix it without pulling the filler neck or any of the cooling system apart, but that's to be determined. Little different than a normal easy out. I got these extractors. There's a smaller one in there. I'm hoping I can just put that right down inside there, back it out, and then I'll get new set screws, throw some Teflon tape on them, and stick them in. Worst case Ontario, I'm going to have to drill them out, but I would like to not do that while the whole cooling system is together. They're aluminum set screws, which is weird, and I don't want aluminum shards going through my cooling system. It's just kind of common sense, I feel. So in theory, the splines on this are left-handed. You put them into the hex that's rounded out, and it should, moving to the left, back it out. We're going to try that right here, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to have to pull this hose, drain whatever is going to drain out, and then I'm going to have to drill these two out after I pull this out of the car. So let's see what we can do. So this one, God bless you, brother, came right out. So we're gonna have to go get new set screws. I guess it already lost enough coolant that it's not going to leak below where it's already at. We're 1 for 2 so far. It's a good start to a Saturday morning. Second one won't budge, unfortunately. Just gonna pull this and we'll have to drill that one out. Is what it is. I'm excited that I at least got one of them out. Overall, if you don't already have a set of these, I would definitely pick them up. They come in handy for little jobs like this, and when they work, they can turn a nightmare into way less of a headache. I pinched off the flow of coolant right there, and unless something drastic happens, I will just update you guys when this is all finished up.
Psych, I lied.
I jinxed myself by saying that. I tried to drill this out in every size imaginable. The set screw's still in there. I didn't screw up any of the threads. It won't budge. You can see the ridges cut into it by the extractor. I put the next size up extractor in there and buried it the whole way down in there, put the impact on it, and almost broke my wrist in the process. I'm just gonna take this to the shop with me, and I'm going to drill it out larger and re-tap it for the next size up thread, and I'm gonna throw a bunch of thread sealant on it and run a set screw in there. No thread sealant on these threads or the other fitting that goes into the rad because they are AN fittings, and if you are using thread sealant or thread tape on AN fittings, you are defeating the purpose of using AN fittings. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Back to what I actually had planned for this video. I want to smoke test this engine. I have an idea of where the vacuum leak is coming from, but I want to test a couple things. I made this nice UHMW plug that fits snug in the intake. I'll still put the clamp on that just to be safe. We have a smoke tester that you will hook up to here. You put baby oil in it, you turn it on, it heats up, it blows a bunch of smoke, and you'll be able to see where it's leaking from. Full disclaimer, I've never used this thing before either. What I read, you put baby oil onto the coil, you add 12 volts to this. Now this came with alligator clamps on it, like to clamp to your power block or to the battery. This car is dead most of the time. I wanted to be able to use this wherever and however. So I cut the alligator clamps off of it and put this M12 adapter on there. Put an M12 battery into here. You flip it, it turns blue, you know it's on. You gotta add air to it. This has a 7 PSI regulator on it. So the coil gets hot, creates smoke from the baby oil, and then adding air into it through there forces the air out of here and up into the intake. So let's give it a shot. Should be enough. Go ahead and turn that on. It says 3 minutes to warm up, so we'll see how accurate that is. So you can just barely see it, but it's dumping smoke from this line. Gonna have to find out what that goes to, because it's definitely not connected to anything. And if that's all my issue is, yeah, this might be easier than I thought. After doing some research, it appears there are 3 fittings that come off of the bottom of the throttle body, 2 of which go to something with heating, which I deleted all of, and the other one goes to the charcoal canister, which I don't believe I have either. I have solicited help from some friends on Twitter, as well as Scottro. If you guys are not familiar with Scott, you're probably not in any of the East Coast or Northeast BMW pages on Facebook, but Scott is a good friend of mine from Pittsburgh. I go to Scott and Julian Danino with most of my BMW questions. So I sent a video to Scott and I am awaiting information. But in the meantime, I pulled the intake boot and I'm actually going to unbolt the throttle body so I can get a better look at the lines in the bottom of it. So when you flip the throttle body over, the furthest left with the hose on it is what's supposed to go to the charcoal canister, which I don't have. And then the other two fittings here and here are for something with the heating that I don't have. So I'm just gonna leave those alone. And with the information I was given from the homies on Twitter, I can cut this line off of here and just cap it with a vacuum cap. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I threw a cap on there. While I'm in here, I'm just gonna throw caps on the two coolant ports too, just so nothing gets up in there. We should be good from there. I put the filler neck back in the car. I put a stainless NPT plug on this side. The other one needed to be drilled out. I just drilled it and tapped it for half 13. And I put Teflon tape on all three fittings. Put this back in the car. It leaked out of the half 13. Pulled it out, drained it, cleaned everything up, put more Teflon tape than I did the first time, and then put thread sealant on top of that. Threaded it back in. We're good. This is the first start since I fixed the vacuum leak on the bottom side of the throttle body because I pulled the filler neck off the top of the rad just for safety's sake. Going to rebleed the coolant system. Lost a little bit when I pulled the hose off. I just want to make sure that we are good there. Let's give it a jump, see what it does. Hopefully, fingers crossed, this starts and runs smoothly. We can bleed the coolant system quickly and then I can move on to other things to get this ready to drift it at the end of May. I have a brand new MAF on there. It is plugged in. Hopefully this runs smoothly. I have the smoke tester set up again. One minor detail I forgot to do was hold the throttle body open. So yeah, of course it was gonna smoke out of the throttle body. Now we just gotta see if it's gonna smoke out of anywhere else. Upon talking to Scottro, he said if you have a Rock Auto Special mass airflow sensor in there, that ain't it, chief. So I pulled that out. I had the OEM Bosch one still in my toolbox full of E36 parts, and I swapped that bad girl in there. Coolant was fine, by the way. So we'll take that. It runs. It still does that weird rev hang thing, but I'm gonna thrash this thing anyway, so I don't really care. Hopefully that is the last that I have to fight this car on the vacuum leaks and all of that fun, happy stuff. I just want to drive this thing. I have so much time, blood, sweat, tears, money invested into this car. I just want to drive it. Tomorrow I'll finish up the harness bar and the harnesses. From there, I just have to raise the car and align it. I'm going against putting the hydro setup in it until I get to drive it a little bit, and then that will get added eventually. The next video, I'll finish up the harness bar and the harnesses. A couple videos from now, we'll be at Pit Race in Pittsburgh, sliding this thing, and learning how to drift. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe at Horsepower Pizza on all other platforms. Peace out, and build it for you.